Welcome back to my channel, Australian Jow. And today I had a look, or tonight I had a look at the Australian Greens leaders' budget reply to the 2025 federal budget, and I couldn't do it all off the top of my head, so I wrote down some scribbles, and so don't quote me exactly to these words, word for word to what the gentleman said, but he was going on about cost of living crisis, according to him, wiping out student debt, 1 in 3 big corporations in Australia, according to him, pay no tax, Medicare, wants to expand it into dentals, things like that. He went on about renters, and he went on about the government in Australia is looking at putting a tax cut together, and he said something like that the government's tax cut will not help renters when your rent has gone up hundreds of dollars. Well, I would say to that, it's gone up hundreds of dollars, maybe because of people like that in Canberra. Now, why has the Australian real estate market exploded? Well, in part, it could be because in the year 2000, there was 19.5 million people in Australia. At the end of 2024, there was something like 27.5 million people in Australia. Look, past 12 months, there was something like 1.78, nearly 1.8 million New Zealanders arrived in Australia with full working rights. Plus, we have 400,000 foreign students, but they're a bit of a different kettle of fish. They seem to get a lot of heat, but their numbers pale compared to the New Zealand migration. But look, that's, rents have gone up hundreds of dollars. I mean, straight me dead. I mean, he did say one thing that I do, it's probably an old quote, but you can't keep voting for the same two parties and expect a different result. Yeah, but who would you vote for? I mean, I looked at the website, and a few things struck me. I mean, it may be old news to some people, but I couldn't look at too much of it. It was making my head explode. I would have thrown the laptop out the window. But I looked at the climate part, and one of them, I think it was under the principles or aims or something, and one of them was like reduce the atmospheric concentration of CO2 to 350 ppm. I mean, are you serious? 350 ppm. Is that what all this green transition is about? I don't know. Is that what all this deindustrialization of Australia has been about? Because that's maybe happened in large part, maybe because of high energy costs. Has that all been about this green power? All been about because it's about 430, 420 ppm apparently in the atmosphere. I don't know the exact number, but it's around that. So it's all about, say, 60 or 70 ppm. And just on that, what country benefits the most from Australia deindustrializing? Where does it all go? What country has benefited the most? It's not hard to work out, but 5% of the Australian economy is now manufacturing. It used to be like 30, and our living standards used to be a lot higher, but 5% lowest in the OECD. And may all that be for 60 or 70 ppm? Sorry, 10,000 ppm is 1%. 1,000 ppm is 0.1%. 400 ppm, which is roughly around what's in the atmosphere, is 0.04%. 350 ppm, which looks maybe to be the aim of the Greens, is 0.035% of the atmosphere. So everything you see on your screen, probably this cup of black tea, square, extraordinary. But I kept scrolling down, and I hit something like 0.23 or something like that, and I can't remember the exact quote, I should have written that, but it's something like all regulation and also all energy infrastructure or something like that, and networks, something like that, come under government control or something like that. So is that nationalisation? Am I reading that right? I don't know. could be wrong. Nationalisation, socialism, maybe. Now, if you want to see what nationalisation of energy infrastructure looks like, well, look no further. Have a look at Indonesia. Back in the 70s, when all the majors were there and everything, they were producing something like 1.5, a bit over 1 million barrels of crude a day. Now, after nationalising a bunch of fields and all that, they may be producing around 600,000 or 700,000 barrels of crude a day, 2024. It may be picking up now, I'm not sure. And that may not even be enough to meet domestic demand. But, look, it's extraordinary. Then I went down further and I hit something, don't hold me these words, something like they want to close down all coal-fired power stations. And a little bit further, and it was all thermal coal exports cease by 2030, and all fossil fuels by 2040. I mean, how are you going to pay for all this? But I mean, the coal, I looked it up, and coal in 2021, 22 was worth something like $113 billion to Australia. And last year, 2024, was something like $91 billion. How are you going to replace that? How are you going to replace that? I mean, this is a party who in 2010 or 11 held the balance of power in the Australian Senate. If you tax the rich, as this speech sort of was saying, a wealth tax, whatever, you may hurt the poor. I mean, it sounds a bit like a Robin, sort of like Robin, steal from the rich, give to the poor. But that's not actually, it was actually steal from the king and maybe give to the taxpayer. But, there's an election coming up in May, in 3rd of May, 2025. So it's going to be interesting. I'm going to watch it. I may put my 2 cents worth on it. And look, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it.